Another international break, another 2 weeks without football. Say it ain't so. Especially after things have just gone so well against Wolves. Oh, mate. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And today, we're going to talk about the international break, and specifically, we're going to have a look at who is representing whose squad, who is staying behind, and what that might mean for our quite hefty run of fixtures when the break is over. But guys, before we get into it, if you're enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so the squad came out a few days ago, but there is one notable omission, a player who will be staying with the squad, that bears talking about. Enzo Fernandez was picked for the Argentina squad, but has decided to remain at Chelsea so he can recover from what I imagine is a continuation of the synovitis that took him out of the Argentina squad last time there was an international break. Enzo Fernandez played amazingly against Wolves the other day, and that crazy to think because Enzo Fernandez often struggles when playing through injury. I personally have been reasonably critical of him at times, calling him a passenger in games, and I do still believe that's the case, but what we saw against Wolves the other day was the Enzo Fernandez that we want to see all the time. So, A, fair play to him, really, really impressive that he was able to put in that kind of performance if he was still feeling this injury, and B, fair play to him because he's decided to stay back from international duty, which I know in particular for South Americans is a really, really big deal. So, Enzo Fernandez has taken himself out of the running for international duty this time, but who is going to represent their countries from our first team? A total of 14 Chelsea players will be representing their countries in this international break, and the list is as follows. Pedro Neto will be playing for Portugal. He's one of a few on this list that I am a little bit concerned about because the dreaded list of players that has emerged from Chelsea recently of players that aren't training every day due to suffering and struggling with injuries is Pedro Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, and João Pedro. Pedro Neto recently added to that list, and most recently, Maresca wasn't sure if he was going to make the Wolves game. He did end up playing and got the goal, played really, really well, so that was awesome, but always a little bit concerning when these injury prone, I wouldn't even call it injury prone because it's not like he spent a lot of time out, but we know for a fact that he's carrying something, so a little bit of a worry. Reece James will be stepping up for England, and that's a good thing, man. Do you know what I mean? He definitely feels, I was concerned at the start of the season, the last few international breaks I'd mentioned, I'm a little bit worried about Reece James playing for England because I know Tommy Tuchel likes Reece James to bomb up and down and put crosses in, obviously a la our Champions League win, but he's been the last few times, he's played the last few times, hasn't been overused and hasn't had any other injury issues, so that's all good. 3 players will be representing the Brazil squad in Andre Santos, Estevão Willian, and João Pedro. They've generally been getting called upon. I think João Pedro missed the last one actually because his injury woes were holding him back quite a lot, and as I've just mentioned, he is in the list of 4 players who aren't even training every day, so that's a little bit of a concern. Estevão, that's absolutely brilliant. He's actually played really well for Brazil in the times that he has been called up, and in lieu of not being chosen for every game to play for Chelsea recently, Chelsea fans will probably be happy to know that he's going to go out there and get more game time, build fitness, build form, and carry on being his magical self. Andre Santos has been decent recently. He's definitely had a rocky start to his life at Chelsea. Didn't get a lot of game time at the beginning of the season. Definitely had to wait for injuries and stuff to happen to get his opportunities, but as of most recently, has been playing really, really well, and will be very happy to have been selected for the squad, despite not playing for Chelsea all the time. That means that Carlo Ancelotti obviously sees characteristics in him that he wants around his excellent Brazil team. This next one's funny, man. Philip Jorgensen's been called up for Denmark, and that, I suppose that means he's probably not going to play. Like, you know, you need a few goalkeepers, don't you? And he probably is realistically one of the better goalkeepers from Denmark at this point in time, but I don't expect him to play very much. Marc Cucurella has, of course, been called up for Spain because Marc Cucurella is just one of the best left-backs in the world, and Spain absolutely love him as well. He is not only important, I would argue, instrumental to the success of their team. Marc Cucurella, man, he was so good in that last Euros. You know, when he dyed his hair red at the end because they won it and whatever, but he is just absolutely one of the first names on every team's team sheet that has connection to him, being Spain and Chelsea at the moment. And Marc Cucurella loves playing for Spain, do you know what I mean? And one of the good things about Cucurella is he doesn't seem to be one of these players that we need to be worried about carrying injuries all the time and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? So I don't have the same sort of anxiety around Marc Cucurella playing so many games as I do the likes of João Pedro, Enzo Fernandez, and the others on that list. Malagusto has been called up for France, and he'd already already been called up for France before he scored that goal. Félicitations Malo Gusto, c'était incroyable quand tu fais cette goal. But yeah, do you know what? That's going to be amazing for him because he's going to get into that camp and they are going to make the applause, the cheers. I'm sure everyone is going to give Malo Gusto massive props for scoring his first goal. The defence right back spot I think is actually fairly competitive for France. I know Jules Koundé I think is still injured at the moment and he plays it sometimes. I'm not sure who else they've got, but I'm hoping Malo Gusto can get some time in the France squad because based on his performances for us recently, absolutely deserves it. And the last of the seniors on this list is Moises Caicedo, who is going to go and play for Ecuador. So the last time Moises Caicedo went away with Ecuador, he didn't play. He was just kind of in and around the squad and they made decisions on him day by day. I don't really know the thing with Moises Caicedo, man. It's difficult. A lot of Chelsea fans, selfishly, we would all love to have said keep him behind because if he's struggling with fitness, we desperately are going to need him for this massive run of fixtures that we've got at the end of November and the 8 games in December. Do you know what I mean? Moises Caicedo is going to be so important if we are going to get as many points as we can out of those games. But at the same time, it's a World Cup year. This is the big caveat about this, right? Is like, as a Chelsea fan, largely what you want to do is keep your players and protect them. I think maybe, Esteval, yes, I want to see Esteval go and do well with Brazil because it gets him more game time. Reece James as well. Reece James has been out of the England squad for such a long time. He's, for me, 100% the best right back in England. And, Thomas Tuchel obviously has experience working with him already, so I'm happy for him to go and get that game time. But other players, João Pedro Neto, Moises Caicedo, these guys are carrying injury issues and it's really easy for me with my Chelsea hat on to say keep them behind because their club career is more important, but it's a World Cup, man. Do you know what I mean? It's a World Cup. You might get the opportunity to play 2 or 3. If you're a top player in your country, in your entire life, you might get to play 2 or 3 World Cups if you're lucky. Do you know what I mean? Form's so important. And as much as, like I say, I would love to say, let's keep them all behind and look after them and protect them and stuff. This is, there's only 2 international breaks left before the World Cup. So these guys have to go and start bedding into their teams, make sure they understand their manager's instruction, and also learn how to play with the players that are around them as well. Because as we've talked about a lot with Chelsea recently, consistency is very, very important. So that's it for all of the seniors. But there are a reasonable amount of under-21 players going to represent their country's under-21 teams as well. A triple threat going to the England under-21s of Josh Achiampong, Jamie Gittins, and Tyreek George. All of which, you'd have to argue, have been playing really, really well recently. Josh Achiampong, I personally would love to see him on the pitch more, but with the resurgence of Wesley Fofana getting back into the team, playing really well against Wolves and Tottenham recently, I kind of understand why his chances have been a little bit more limited. But at the same time, this is an opportunity for Josh to go and get some more important game time and represent his country for his under-21s. Absolutely wicked. Jamie Gittins has been a slow burner this season, but it looks like he's really starting to find some form. So this is a great opportunity for him to go and carry on getting game time. And kind of the same with Tyreek George, although arguably not as much of a slow burn. Tyreek George, I have to give him his flowers, man. I have to absolutely give him his flowers. He's done a great job for us, being put into positions that he's not really comfortable with, being asked to play striker. He's getting goals. He's doing the manager's job. We've only seen him once for Chelsea so far play on the wing. And for me, that was the best 20 minutes of football I've seen from Tyreek George. But he's in form, arguably in form, playing well for Chelsea when called upon, and definitely deserves the opportunity to go and represent his country. Fair play to him. And the final 2 on this list, Gabriel Slonina. Gaga Slonina has been selected to go and represent the USA under-21s. Haven't seen anything of him yet, so I can't really comment at all. But I'm not going to lie to you, if Philip Jorgensen doesn't kind of up his game in the next opportunity that he's given, I wouldn't be surprised to see Gaga Slonina getting a few opportunities for Chelsea this season before we really deal with our goalkeeping situation. And last but not least, for the Spain under-21s, Marc Guiu has been selected. I love this kid, man. I love this kid. We've talked about it recently. I've been pessimistic about his chances of getting more time at Chelsea. I thought that his time was up and it was over, but also at the same time, he came on at the end of the Wolves game, and every time I see him on the pitch, he just offers something. Unfortunately, the thing that he offers isn't constant goal threat, but the energy, it's unbelievable. His pressing energy is like nothing we've seen. It's a skill set that we don't really have anyone else in the team that has. And I would love to see Mark Yu be kept at Chelsea and be our third striker option, at least for the rest of the season, until Emmanuel Emegha comes in. So that is it. That is the 14 players that have been selected for the November 2025 international break. And for the most part, okay, cool. And like I say, even if I'm not happy with some of the selections, like Caicedo and Pedro Neto and João Pedro, who are all kind of suffering a little bit with injuries and stuff, I get it, man. It's a World Cup year, and all of these players are going to be desperate to play for their countries in the World Cup, so I absolutely get it. So just a couple of notable omissions that I wanted to talk about, some obvious and some that I do find a little bit intriguing. Enzo Fernandez, obviously, I've already spoken about. He's kind of taken himself out of the running because of his injury worries, and that's absolutely the right thing to do. If a couple of weeks off will help him get over his synovitis, then that's, we're going to need that, because if he can play for us like he played in that Wolves game more often after this break, then we are going to need him for this next hefty lot of games that are coming up. Also not selected for their squads, Alejandro Garnacho, which I do find really, really, really interesting. I'm going to be doing a quite focused video because I think it's time to talk about Alejandro Garnacho, and I want to do that very, very soon. So despite his reasonably good form, he's not made it in the squad. And it's interesting because Nico Paz from Como has made it in the squad, do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, he's doing really, really well in Serie A, don't get me wrong, but you would have thought a reasonably informed Premier League ready Garnacho would be a really good shout for Argentina. But no, apparently he's not been selected, so he gets to stay and carry on training with the team. And another one, I say notable omission, I'm kind of happy about it, and it does make sense, but it's Wesley Fofana as well. France have lots of really good defenders, man. That's the truth, isn't it? I say notable omission. It's only really notable to me because he's been playing well for us recently, and in every game he's played, right towards the end, it looks like he's been struggling a little bit with pain, like holding his leg or not walking right or something like that. And I do think that Fofana might have a chance still of being selected for the World Cup squad for France if he carries on playing the way that he's playing for us and manages to go through the rest of the season without injury. He will still get a good chance. There is another international break. Form is really, really, really important. But for now, I'm happy that we're keeping him back and he's hanging around to train with the Chelsea team. So that's it for the international break stuff. But there was just one more story that I wanted to talk about today, and it is pertaining to Emmanuel Emegha, the striker that is currently at our French sister club Strasbourg. He is back from injury and just scored a brace against Lille. And mate, Chelsea fans, we are so hyperbolic. Literally, like the news stories I'm seeing today are: bring Amega in January, Delap's not good enough. May, I'm like, I just want to talk about this like in a vacuum for a minute. Liam Delap has been out injured for 2 months. Yes, I understand that Amega has also been out injured and he's come back and scored 2 goals, but A, Amega wasn't out, I don't think, for quite as long as Liam Delap was. B, the Premier League is definitely harder than the French League is. And C, Liam Delap has only had like not even 90 minutes. I don't think he's even managed to combine 90 minutes in all 3 appearances that he's had since he's come back from injury. So I think we need to give Liam Delap more time, man, 100%. I'm nowhere near ready to write off Liam Delap as of right now, just because Omega's doing so well. But on the reverse side of that, not that I agree with the Liam Delap thing, but it is great to see Amega come back into that team at Strasbourg in France and absolutely smash it. 2 goals against Lille, really, really big French team, and it also took Strasbourg into 4th place in Ligue. So really, really, really interesting there, because what we might be looking at next season is this kind of crazy situation where if Strasbourg are going to get into the Champions League, then the Chelsea owners, Blueco, they have to declare like a month or 2 before the end of the season that they're not going to have any involvement with Strasbourg next year. So if Strasbourg get into the Champions League, what won't happen next season, next transfer window, is loaning 3 players to Strasbourg, buying and selling players from them, because there is a limit, and I think you're only allowed to trade 2 players, and that includes sales and loans. So if Strasbourg get into the Champions League next year, we will be able to sell them or loan them no more than 2 players in that window, because anything more than that would seem to be us controlling the situation, and essentially you're not allowed to have one owner controlling 2 teams in the same competition. That's what is against the rules. So really, really, really interesting. Like, that could potentially, like, you got to think that next season, if Strasbourg are looking like they're going to get in the Champions League, that might accelerate Blueco buying another club, because, look at how much they've been using Strasbourg to funnel all their players in and out. I actually really want this to happen, if I'm completely honest. I like the way that we use Strasbourg from a Chelsea fan's perspective, but I think if Strasbourg get into the Champions League, that would give their fans a massive opportunity to feel like they're taking their club back and that they are building themselves rather than just being, funded and funneled by Blueco and Chelsea. We'll probably still send 2 players over there one way or the other. Whatever the limit is, I'm sure that they will exploit that. But at the same time, if Liam Rosini is doing an amazing job over there with his team chopping and changing all the time, and they are just going from strength to strength. So I think it would be really interesting if Strasbourg do actually manage to get in the Champions League next year, and it's going to be crazy if that happens. So guys, that's it for today. I'm going to wrap up the video there. Like I say, man, international breaks are boring for fans of club football. And you know what? The thing is, if you're a South American, I envy you getting to watch Brazil. Do you know what I mean? I could watch Brazil, but I don't support Brazil at the same time. The England international breaks, we've already qualified. They're just a bit boring, man. Do you know what I mean? They're just a bit boring, and we never play good teams. Do you know what I mean? The game's always a bit sticky, stodgy, and nothing of note really happens. And if we do score loads of goals, it's against a team that we have to score loads of goals against. So I don't really get excited about watching England until the tournaments come round. So in light of that, I'm going to make sure that I've got lots of really fun and interesting content coming out over the next 2 weeks to keep us all in that Chelsea frame of mind. And we'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the international break as well. Of course we will. But if we can't get our Chelsea football, I will still make sure we've got some Chelsea content. So nice one, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks very much for sticking around until the end of the video if you did. And if you're chilling and you fancy listening to some more Stamford Sync, you should definitely check out this video here, which is my match review for the Chelsea Wolves game, and kind of more of a reaction really, but ultimately I absolutely was buzzing about it, so you should go and check out my reaction in that video. Nice one, guys. I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.